it was a video, or actually, so this is coming back to me now. I think it was a blog post. I put it on LinkedIn or Medium, probably LinkedIn. And the reason I wrote that post is because I was basically consulting a bunch of people on how to get a job, how to go through software engineer interviews. And then I felt I have something to offer because I was already giving them advice and I wanted to put them in a shareable format. So I tried that. And then what I noticed is I tried a few videos, a few articles, and the videos were working much better, at least at that time. So I guess a quick tip there is to try different formats, different platforms, and see which one works the best.
That's awesome. So you were actually doing something that led into something else, like many of us end up here. Appreciate that. And also keep in mind, folks, and this could be the first tweet that gets out. Somebody take it up on the community to be sure to try different formats. I guess until you find your niche. And it's okay if some things are not for you. I know there are folks that are not keen on being on camera. So guess what? Twitter Spaces might be your place to create content, grow and share with the community. Eddie, do you remember your first piece of content?
I don't remember the exact first one, but I can remember my first proper YouTube video. And by proper, I'm not just jumping in a pool or anything like that, like technical content that I wanted to do. And it was a hackathon in London with BuzzFeed, they were hosting it. And it was to hack the gender pay gap. And I was like, I'm really passionate about this topic. I'm gonna take my camera and I'm gonna actually try and document the hackathon. And it was really hard. Like I planned some things to say in front of the camera, but every time I hit record, it went all horribly wrong. And it was definitely a lot of hard work. And what was worse was editing the video was even harder because I wasn't used to listening to myself. And it's really strange when you listen to yourself for the first time. So it took me like 3 months to edit the video, not because technically I didn't know how. Well, I was learning as I went along, but the hardest part was I couldn't listen to myself for more than 20 seconds and having to take a 3-hour break and try and recover from the stressful situation. Obviously now I'm used to myself. I know I sound terrible, but I'm used to it. So yeah, I think that was my first kind of piece of content that I remembered, and that was on YouTube. I do also remember my first proper GitHub repo, but we can probably discuss that later on.
Yeah, so I love that because a couple of things there. I think we are all our own worst critics. Like I always do that too. I'm like, why did you move you do a thing with your mouth when it's crooked? And let me tell you, folks, I've tried and I cannot fix that. It's the way my head is shaped. But it's pretty funny because you start looking at yourself when you're recording and you're like, wow, yeah, this is so awful. And then you present it and folks are like so engaged by what you're saying and nobody's thinking about that crook in your mouth. You're over it. So I love that to know that there's self-criticism. Sometimes we're our own worst critics for sure. And then the importance of finding the thing that you care about. I think that's something that's so key here. When you're going to start creating content, do it about something that matters to you, whether it's a technology stack or a particular topic, or like Eddie said about this hackathon for a cause that he cares about. I think that makes a big difference. It's going to show through that you're actually excited about whatever it is that you're talking about putting out there. Awesome. So talking about technical content, and I think this is something that you can lose a lot of folks because there is some, if you've been on YouTube or I don't know, are folks learning to code on TikTok yet? Probably. But if you've been on YouTube, you can see there is a ton of excellent, academically speaking, quality content. But the delivery of it is so absolutely dry that one might fall asleep and not learn anything. So I want to know from you both, what's the formula? Now, obviously, you're not going to share all your secrets here, but I'm thinking, what have you found that is one way to keep folks engaged when we're talking about technical content to be specific? And I can go ahead and start with you, Eddie.
Okay, great. So I get the hard question first. I find keeping it kind of concise, which I'm not the best writer. So therefore, when I do write my content, it is quite concise anyway. But when it comes to speaking, I do talk a lot. So I think I have the opposite problem with that. I'm always happy to share all my tips, completely transparent. But to keep people engaged, I think you've got to mix up the type of content. So let me take my Twitter, for example. My Twitter has grown from last April to now by, I don't know, 71,000 people. So I was at 4,000 last April. It was April 2021 and now at 75. So what I feel is mixing up the content. Some of my content might have a photo, other content might be a video clip, other content might be a technical tip, other content might be a motivational piece for the weekend or for the week or something like that. So I find just keeping it mixed up, a variety, mixed up isn't probably the wrong word, but like a variety is important. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that tip, but if you want to dig deeper, I'm more than happy to share more as well. But I'm interested to hear what YK has to say with, I think, like almost 2 million followers on YouTube as well.
Yeah, he definitely has the sauce. If there is such a thing as a secret sauce, YK, I think you got it. What do you think has been like, I guess, the recurrent theme or like the thing that makes you feel like your content, your technical content is not making Andreas of the world fall asleep, but actually be super engaged and learn and take value from them? Anything in particular that you think it just calls out or something that you always include as a component of that type of content?
Sure. So I'm gonna answer in a slightly different way. To me, content creation is all about the listeners and watchers and the audience. It's not so much about the content itself, in my opinion. And that's why I'm all about experimentation, trying different formats, like I mentioned, trying different platforms, Twitter, YouTube, Medium, Substack. It's hard to know which one works for you until you try it. First of all, do that. And then the other thing I would really recommend is getting a lot of feedback and basically getting as much feedback as possible, because especially at the beginning of your sort of content journey, it's easy to make mistakes. It's easy to make technical mistakes or grammar mistakes or whatever they may be. And the best way to fix those is just get feedback. If you feel like you're a beginner, if you feel like you're not good enough to start creating content, do it anyway and then get feedback. Make sure that's correct and then publish it. And that's the first thing I would say. And then for videos, editing is really important. Try to keep them concise. I think talking, like when you're recording, is fine. Talk as much as you want, but after that, try to edit it so that it's more concise so you can keep people's attention and all of that.
Editing, yes. I'll have to ask you questions about that for you both too, because that is the vein of my existence. My least favorite thing to do, but it's so important, especially to get your message across how you want it, YK, as you so clearly said. All right, Eddie, YK, obviously you have different types of content out there. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of Twitter spaces coming from you both, but still the YouTube content continues, the blog posts, all the other articles and how-tos continues. Do you have a preference? What is your favorite type of content to produce? And then one more question, just peg at the end tail of that. What would you recommend folks get started with? What should their first piece of content that they put out there if they haven't really been thinking about writing to publish or recording a video? What should that content be? Go ahead, Eddie.
I'm jumping in before YK gets all the good answers in. So, sorry, YK. Yeah, so there's two really good questions there. The content that I prefer, I love it all because they all have different things. Like a Twitter space just feels more casual. Like we can chat with loads of more people. They can come up on stage. I really like Twitter spaces. I love live streams because we can get hands-on and actually coding and making open source pull requests and contributions and so forth. So you can have that for a different perspective. Recording videos is great because I can take a 4-hour creating a project and cut it down to 10 minutes and just show everyone like the Instagram part of the project. So yeah, I think they all have benefits. I do love them all. And for people who want to get started, I wish I knew this when I started, but content creation is hard. And that's why I don't create content. I actually find it quite easy because I don't create content. I document my journey, my learnings. If I speak to people and learn something, I'll document it. If I get multiple questions in a live stream or in Discord, I will document it in a Twitter post or a video, depending on how big the answer is and so forth. Yeah, I think people should think of it as as documentation. I document what you're doing rather than content creation. When I realized that, my world definitely changed, and now I actually have too much content to post, which is probably a good problem to have. And if people want to get started, Twitter's a really good place. You can write 280 characters in a tweet, and by the time you've added a few hashtags and maybe tagged someone, you're down to a lot less. And then you can build up from that and move to short blog posts if you want, which again, it's longer form content and it's more evergreen content. So Twitter is great for real time and for growing fast. But the downside is after kind of 48 hours, those tweets don't really get seen anymore and it's lost. So you don't want to put too much, you want to put effort into Twitter, but you don't want to put as much effort as you put into a YouTube video or a blog post. Those ones stay around for a lot longer. They're more evergreen. I've got people coming to contact me from YouTube videos I created 3 years ago, which I really wish they didn't see because they're quite bad. And I also see GitHub as a content creation, documentation, however you want to call it. I love that. That's part of my strategy. So I think people shouldn't worry too much about the platform. They should just get on and do with it, and then they'll meet people and it'll get easier and easier.
I love that. Yeah, you're basically like your own historian. So you're really, all you're doing is just documenting like your experience. And thankfully for us, because we get to learn right there with you. So important, like learning in public. I love that. That's an amazing point. YK, how about you? What you think?
Just wanted to quickly say I really love what Eddie just said too. I think it's really the right way to look at it. As a developer, your main thing is probably coding and working on projects and maybe your job. If there is something that you learn from it and that you can document, want to share, do that. And yeah, to go back to your original question, I think my two favorite pieces of, I guess my two favorite formats are Twitter Spaces and YouTube videos. Twitter Spaces, just because it's really easy to do at this point, and it's actually easy to do for most people, I think. It's hosting sounds scary when you haven't done it, but like I say, anyone can host. And like I always say, the best way to speak in a Twitter space is by hosting one. I highly recommend it, no matter how many followers you have. And then for YouTube videos, I like them just because of the reach. YouTube has a lot bigger audience than Twitter in general. There's a potential, it's not always the case, but there is a potential to reach millions of people, tens of millions of people with YouTube. With Twitter, I think it's a little bit, or it's much harder to do that. But to get started, I'd recommend Twitter and Medium. But more importantly, GitHub. If you're like, oh, should I get into content creation? Maybe. But if you ask me, should I get into open source? I would say yes, 100%. So do that first. And then if you learn something from it, then share tweets about it. Or if it's more technical, if you want it to be more searchable, I would try Medium, because Medium sends you traffic for the articles you write, and they become searchable, and you might be able to make some money. So those are the two platforms I would start with.
That's always nice. Oh, and you just touched on a super important point. And I think, thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. I love Twitter spaces too. I really do. I never got into Clubhouse much, but this I can do. I feel like it just lowers the barrier for folks to like, yeah, sure, you're eating lunch, you can listen to us. So that's super cool. That's one thing I think, hey, keep it up, Twitter, you're doing great. But then talking about open source, and if you are an open source maintainer or contributor, or you're thinking about open sourcing one of your projects, like there is so much value in having a content strategy, how that can help you improve everything about your project, whether it be the documentation of the project or the reach into getting new contributors onboarded, just the act of documenting those things and then put them out there, that can bring your open source projects experience like to a whole different level. So absolutely 100%. Okay, so let's talk about the fun things, right? Because I think like sometimes we get too caught up and it has to be perfect. And both of you talked a little bit about editing. I hate that. I don't like editing at all. Like if someone wants to just take over Premiere Pro for me, and I will never open that application on my computer again, ever, if I never had to do it. It's just not my thing. But I know there are folks that actually quite enjoy that. So like how important is it that you have like this super established like editing production value? Like I think we take ourselves too seriously sometimes, so I'm wondering if that sometimes prevents people from jumping on and doing what they want to do, if they feel like this doesn't look perfect, or you can see a shadow, or I don't know. Like what do you both feel about as far as like the production quality of your content, or even for blog posts, right? Doesn't it have to be like a 3-pager? Can it be just an idea? I don't know. Like how did you determine like how do you prioritize where to put your effort there? Thinking back at to when you first got started, was it just the things that your users were already asking, or was it the things that you were experiencing? Just I'd like to learn more about how you chose like what to invest on, and then we can talk about setup a little bit, because I think that's important too. Eddie, how about you?
Thank you. I didn't put my hand up first. I was going to let YK go first, but I'm more than happy to.
Oh no, I'm
to
so
go
rude.
first.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I don't mind. So I think with the production value, having realized that, going back to that first video that I mentioned, that I spent 3 months editing, trying to make it, obviously it was painful for me to listen to myself, but also trying to make it like super perfect, and with all the transitions, all titles, all the rest. I thought at the time it was perfect, but then as I did 2 or 3 more videos, realized how bad it was. And so I think people try and use the excuse of perfect to not to do things. I think it needs to be good enough, and we'll learn so much by doing the process. And if you take GitHub, for example, when people say, oh, Eddie, I've got my old repos on there, should I leave them on there or delete them? Definitely leave them, because you or a potential colleague or employer or hiring manager can look back and see that you've improved over time. And I think that's really important to show that journey and that history. Go back to my videos a few months ago, I think they're awful because I'm always learning and improving. I do have a disclaimer to make. At the moment now, I'll say for the last 2 years, I have had a full-time video editor. So as much as I do actually enjoy video editing, I don't have time for it, and I do have a video editor, and she is amazing. And she does things that I could never do in not Photoshop, Premiere Pro and After Effects. But I think it's a great thing to learn. I've heard people who have suddenly tried to hire someone or outsource the editing and have not done it yourself. It's hard to communicate what you want. So I think so me doing my editing for a year was myself badly was really important, because then I could see what I liked, what people liked, what I didn't like, and I got an understanding and appreciation for it. And then obviously my video editor took it to another level.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hey, shout out to your editor. You're doing an amazing job. Love all your content, Eddie. YK, what do you think when it comes to production and production value? Like, how do you prioritize what to put the effort on? And do you also have an editor? And feel free to not answer if you don't want to. That's totally fine.
Sure. So I would say start with the equipment you have. I think I keep coming back to this point of it's not really about the equipment. It's not really about the content quality. Really, of course, content quality, that's super important. But it's more about the market and more about the audience you have. So this particular example that comes to my mind is this person who built up her Twitter audience. I think she has maybe 5,000 followers or so. And like I was saying, Twitter is a really good place to get started with this kind of thing, because it's easy to build an audience, at least right now, than YouTube, I would say. And what she did is she built up this audience, and people started asking her for a particular video or a particular piece of content. It was something about getting started with open source. And so she made it just with the equipment she had. I think it was just a webcam and the laptop mic, and obviously it's not the highest like studio quality video, but people still liked it, and that was because people already knew her, and the video was valuable. And I think that's all you need, honestly. It really depends on what people want, and then trying to figure out what they want to hear from you. And getting started is really important. It's easy to maybe feel paralyzed just because you don't have the right equipment or whatever you think to yourself. But get started, see how it goes, get feedback, and then I would say go from there.
I think absolutely. One of the things that Eddie, yeah, come on, go ahead and chime in if you like, but I think that's so super important, because I think sometimes we think unless it looks like perfect and our camera is like the latest, what have you, you're not being really surprised by folks. I just learned, I'm going to do a quick shout out to Mish Manners. Michelle, we were talking about hardware. I come to learn that she does not use an external webcam from her computer. And I'm looking at her content, and I think it's incredible. I'm like, she has clearly a production crew following her around. She's not using just the native camera on my MacBook Pro. So you're totally right when you say it's really not so much about the incredible like production quality of it, but more like who it is and what they're saying. Go on, Eddie.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I just wanted to highlight the mistakes that I've made, so hopefully other people don't make it. I used not having the right equipment or the professional equipment not to get started. That's one of my biggest regrets for two reasons. One, I could have started sooner, would have learned faster and grown my audience quicker and so forth. Second of all, I bought loads of equipment that I didn't actually even need. I was watching all these YouTube videos. I need this, need this, and didn't need it. And to be honest, I wish I had just started with my phone. It's got a good camera, it's got a good mic, and then I could have really learned what I need. Half of my equipment I didn't end up using, so it really was a waste of money. And then also, then I got excited and started adding more and more kit to my studio that I probably could use. So it wasn't wasted in that sense. But the thing was, I didn't know how to use it all properly. So actually, although I got better equipment, my production quality went down because I wasn't using it. Really, you should just buy one thing at a time. Make sure your audio is good quality, and you can do that with some very affordable mics. And then in the terms of camera, we're usually in a small part of the screen anyway. So it doesn't have to be a 4K camera, because usually we're down to thumbnail size in the corner of the screen anyway. And then the other mistake I made is I became a digital nomad, so now I travel more. So actually, I can't take all my studio with me, and I take the bare minimum. So I've done a full circle, but I just can't recommend enough for people to get started, and you'll see what you need. And the other benefit is companies or people in the community will donate equipment to you. The amount of companies that have donated equipment to me that I've given away to people in the community because I don't need it has been awesome. Whereas I wish I didn't rush into spending all that money. Everyone just gets started like today.
I love that. So if you have a camera on your mobile device, it's a flip phone, nobody cares. You can record yourself, you can start creating content if that's something that you want to experiment with and try. I love that. Yeah. So you don't have to have the thousands and thousands of dollars set up. I feel like you come across more authentic. And this is why short content is having such a moment right now, like TikTok and YouTube Shorts, because I feel like folks just want to see other people being relatable, being real. And I think that when you do it like the scrappy way, it comes across a little bit more deep. That might just be me in my head. I don't know. So we talked a little bit about equipment, and I hope we can find some recommendations. If you're listening and you've seen a repo on GitHub that actually has I feel like I know one and I need to go find it. It has a quick markdown document on basic setup or things that you can do to improve the quality of your audio or any other type of recording tips. Please share it on these comments on the Twitter space, and we'll go ahead and pin them and share them with everybody else. So don't go out there and spend thousands and thousands. Wait till the good folks that are watching you and loving your content, like Eddie says, start sending you things for free. I want to be that folk, sending free things. So yeah, for sure, wait for that. And then when it comes to your brand, I want to talk a little bit about branding and content, because I think if you go to Eddie Hub, you know where you are. You don't get lost. Same thing if you go into what, like, I'm watching a YouTube video that belongs to this brand. Like, how did you two figure out how to do that? I know it sounds like a very simplistic question to a very complicated and huge topic, but before I start getting recording things, am I always gonna be the person with I don't know, the tan background behind me? And what am I wearing? Like, how did you decide what that brand was gonna feel like? Or is that something that just evolved? YK, I don't know. Can we start with you this time?
Sure. I think my view on branding in general is that I've heard it put it this way. It's what people talk about you. It's what people say when they talk about you when you're not there. And it's not necessarily so much about the logo or the visuals and things like that. I think it's about who you are really and how you present that. I guess like a good example of that from my recent experiences, people started to call me, what is it, detective, because I was doing like some research and I was exposing some people, some fake people, and I never called myself a detective, but I guess that kind of became part of my brand, at least at that point. And then from YouTube, the constant feedback I get is I'm concise, I'm straight to the point. And those are things that I never said those things, but I always had those things in mind. I always tried my best to keep my videos as short as possible. So that's what I would say. Think about the values you have and the kind of content you want to create, and focus on that, and the brand will create itself. But I don't think people care that much about like the banner image or the thumbnail images. They do a little bit. It's more about who you are, I think.
I love that. I think that's why you resonate so much with so many folks. This is me, like I have no subscribers, but just as an opinion, literally, because you feel like, yeah, you're like just another human being showing me things and it just relates. You feel relatable. That's so nice. And legit, folks, if you're just joining, we're here talking about content creation. We're here talking to amazing content creators and folks who are giving a lot to the community back. And now, hopefully, maybe we can inspire some other folks who are out there know how to do something, want to teach it, and maybe haven't been inspired to do it because they think they didn't have the super $1,000 setup or they didn't have the logo and the brand established. But YK just said it best, like just be about yourself, your values, and the brand will just evolve from that. I love it. Awesome. Eddie, I want to go ahead and I will open up for questions from folks who are listening in because I want to be respectful of both your times and you've been so generous to accept the invitation. But I want to know, in top of mind, and besides the equipment factor, which I know that this is, hey, listen, if you got that on your Amazon cart right now, pull it out. You don't need that super expensive camera to start creating content. Use your iPhone. It's fine. Use your Android, it's fine. But besides that, is there any other thing that you wish you known at the very beginning of your journey? If you could like time travel back and tell, besides the video that you have, I gotta go back and watch it because it cannot be that terrible, Eddie. Besides that, like any advice that you will give yourself when you were just getting started in this content creation journey?
That's a great question. But before I answer that, I was just going to say, everyone, Andrea is almost at 3,000 followers, 91 to go, and there's 94 people in this space. So let's help her get closer to 3,000. That made me really happy. I'm sure make Andrea happy as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, folks. I appreciate it.
Thank you for hosting this awesome space. So yeah, remind me of the question, sorry. What would I do differently? Was that the question?
Yeah, so like when you first started creating content and you're thinking, this is the thing, I like doing this, I'm gonna keep on. Besides the fact of not maybe making a huge financial investment on the equipment at first, any other advice that you wish, any other things that you're like, oh, I wish I would have started doing this instead of that? Just reflecting back on young Eddie when Eddie Hub wasn't before Eddie Hub, right?
Sure. The one biggest thing, if I could have a time machine or a magic wand, go and change something, it would be to start sooner. I think I used, as I mentioned before, I used perfection as an excuse not to do it. I make things too big. It needs to be a 30-minute video. It needs to be a 5-page blog post. It needs to be a 30 Twitter thread thingamajiggy. No, to be honest, I recommend people, myself, if I could have go back, is I should have done a 1-minute video. I know shorts weren't a thing back then and all that, so I'm not even talking about that, but just a short video, 30 seconds, like one tip, whatever it is, a 2-paragraph blog post, 1-sentence tweet, because you learn so much from that and you also feed the algorithm. And to be consistent, I think I've been on Twitter for 10 years, but I wasn't consistent up until last April 2021. So I think also be consistent and it just gets easier. You get your processes in place. I always like to do 80% be consistent and 20% experimental. They do that with my videos. My team is the same. They do the same. I say, well, 80% we'll do what we know, but 20% let's experiment. Let's see. Therefore, if something works, we'll do more of it. If it doesn't work, we won't do it again. So yeah, and people niche down. Don't try and do everything, right? You don't try and create content or document your journey on everything. I think you can do that probably a bit more later on as you grow, but at the beginning, you want to get known for one thing. Hopefully you all know me for open source and probably Graham's here, so maybe Screaming Faces on Twitter. But yeah, I think trying to get known for that one thing, and then from that you can grow it to 2 things and 3 things, and from there.
And then you're here teaching us all how to do this better. Thank you, Eddie. YK, how about you? Is there anything that you would like to know then?
Honestly, there isn't much. I guess one small thing is be careful about your thumbnail images and titles. They're really important on YouTube. But those things, I feel like you learn over time. I think a slightly different question is, if I was starting today, what advice would I give myself? And I'm going to repeat myself, and this might sound silly, but host Twitter Spaces. That's always good. People say, oh, like it's really hard, but it's not. Just invite 5 to 6 speakers, and then make sure at least there are 4 speakers that actually show up there, and you just have a conversation with them. It's really easy. I think it's beneficial for pretty much everyone. I would say, whatever topic you want to learn about, just get a bunch of people who are kind of experts on that topic, and then learn from them. It's very simple. You learn from them. People can learn from them. And then you can make tweets. That's another piece of content, or maybe a thread. So that's a quick piece of advice I have.
I love it. So I think Twitter Spaces is really paving the way for a lot of folks to just start doing this, right? Start trying to figure out ways they can share what they know with others. And then I love to start opening it up for folks, because I think a lot of us have gotten a lot of value. Eddie, you touched on a point earlier about being consistent. I definitely was not in Twitter as much before. Like I think the pandemic kind of forced me in a bit. Before I was in Twitter, I was actually your friendly GitHub help support to Kath. And that's a whole different Twitter experience when you're doing support for a company. But now I see the value on it. I think Twitter Spaces is definitely creating like its own genre for content creation, propelling people to be more, is the flexibility, just jump in it, talk about it. And that's the thing, it's brilliant. So thinking about everything that's out there right now, we have a ton of great, amazing folks in the audience here. Thank you so much, Emma, Katie, Graham, everybody that's been joining. I want to make sure that I make time to open it for everybody's questions. But also, so yeah, if you have a question, go ahead and start raising your hand, please, and we'll go ahead and get you queued up. But more importantly, to get started, just do it. There is somewhere out there, somebody that wants to hear what you have to say. And if you're passionate and genuine about it, I think it comes through. Go ahead, Eddie. Go ahead. Hop on.
Thank you so much. I have a question, and it's to the people in the audience, actually, and this might help bring people up on stage, is what are some of your challenges at the moment, and how can we help? I know all of you will have different challenges. It might be time, it might be ideas, etc. But let us know. Come on stage, let us know, and maybe we can help. And I'm pretty sure we can maybe bounce ideas between us and see how we can get you moved on to the next point. So I do see we've got lots of great content creators in the audience, but we all have our challenges. So wherever you are on your journey, let us know.
Absolutely. So if anyone here in particular has a roadblock that maybe we can all just help put together a solution for you, or at least get some tips going so you can get started on your content creation journey. So I'm going to go ahead and allow a couple of folks to come up and speak. If you don't want to come up to the stage and speak, please drop the question on the Twitter thread and we'll go ahead and read it out loud for you. So I have a couple of folks that raised their hands. Did you have questions for Eddie and YK about content creation? I'll give it a few moments for them to be able to come up. And then I'm going to start scrolling down here and creeping into people's pictures that I know are amazing content creators. And then maybe hopefully we can get some of you up here as well to share some of your tips. Let's see. Dave, are you able to speak now? You should be on stage now, Dave.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, I hope you have a good day. I have a question. How would you go about reaching experts you want to interview or contact or have a space within? Because it's like cold contacting. It's like sending emails or even Twitter is different space, but how would you go about it?
That is an excellent question because you're right. Yeah. And I'm sure some of these folks get so many requests today that, yeah. So Eddie, YK, besides having a nagging person on DMing you on Twitter, me over the weekend, how did you get folks, experts, motivated to come and join your spaces? Go on, Eddie.
Looks like I was a fast straw there. I beat YK. What I would recommend is if that person you're reaching out to doesn't know you, haven't come across you before, then and again, it doesn't matter about the following you've got. That's not something I ever look for. What I look for is have they engaged with my stuff before? Do they reply with adding value? So what I recommend if you want someone to join you on a Twitter space or live stream or whatever it is, I would go and engage with some of their content and not just with, oh, great, thumbs up, like actual value, maybe even ask questions, maybe say, oh, I love this idea, but have you thought of this? Really valuable stuff. And that's a really great way to get on their radar. And then maybe after, I don't know a number, but 5, 10 kind of engagements with them, they're going to remember you. So when you do DM them, they're going to think, oh, this person really added value. Yeah, I'd like to have a chat with them. Another way you can do it is if they're on a Twitter space or hosting one, can you join on stage with them and ask a question? And I'll show that you're a sensible person, not just someone who's doing it as a one-off maybe. Because I think some people get the idea, they want the biggest person they can find. They'll do a one-off Twitter space or live stream and then just not do it again. And so to solve that, I would try and have some smaller Twitter spaces first, maybe with your friends and so forth. And then once you've got a bit more of a track record, they can see it from your timeline, then you could then reach out to them. So you've got a few reasons why we're gonna say yes. I think it's a Gary Vee who said, you don't have to be like the most popular person in school, but if you're the person who hosts the cool parties and all the popular people turn up, then you're doing pretty good as well. So if you can have regular Twitter spaces at the same time, same day, every week, and then you start to get known for having that on a similar sort of topic. For example, mine's open source on a Sunday. Bit of a shout out there to myself, sorry. I'll pass the mic over to YK.
Do it. Listen, you need to be your own best super fan. So I am here for that. Yes. Go ahead, YK. What will make you answer a DM? You're an expert and I want to invite you to my thing. So how can you entice folks to want to be a part of the content that you're creating?
Okay, so that's a tricky question because my DMs are closed, but my email is open. People are obviously welcome to email me anytime, and I always like to read the emails, especially when they're well written, not a lot of typos. That might sound silly, but it's important. I need to be able to read them and understand them. So that's one thing I would say. But I think more importantly, it's important to know that not all experts have a large following on Twitter or LinkedIn. That's something that's really important to keep in mind. If you want to reach out to specific experts, they might not have a lot of followers on Twitter. They might not even exist on Twitter. They might only be on LinkedIn. You might only be able to reach out to them through emails. So that's one thing I would say. And then that's the second thing. I think what Eddie said, totally 100% agree. Go for creators of different sizes. Sometimes you want to go for people with 50,000 followers. If you want to do that, I think that's fine. But you can also go for people with 5,000 followers, 500 followers, maybe 100 followers, and then try to make a few friends. And when you have a few friends, you can start working together, supporting each other, and I think that's really important, especially on Twitter.
I love that. I feel like Twitter Spaces has become like the new conference circle. You start seeing the same folks going around conference to conference, and you're like, yeah, catch you on the hallway. I think I'm having a similar experience with Twitter Spaces because I start seeing the same folks. And then when I see you that you're going live or that you're hosting a Twitter Space, I'm excited about it. I want to click on it. I want to listen in. Even if I'm not able to participate actively, I can at least take it in. So I love that. Folks, don't forget to go ahead and give this amazing panelist a follow. Click on their Twitter profile. Click on that follow button. Make sure you check out all their content because the stuff they're putting out is amazing. All right, I think we have another human that had a question. And thank you so much, Dave, for that question. That's brilliant. Cruz, Kazi Cruz, you should be able to speak now. And if you are not ready, then oh no, there you are. Hello, welcome.
Hello, good evening from over here. It's not really about, it's not a question about content creation, but then I just felt like I needed to ask this. I sent in the time in the comment section if said questions are allowed. Hello?
I think we're having it was coming in a bit broken up. I'm sorry. I apologize. Try again. Try control alt delete. Exit and come back, and hopefully we're able to get you back up. In the meanwhile, let's go ahead and see if we can get Harris at handle at Sharizovic. Sharizovic. I'm gonna go ahead and bring you up on stage. Go ahead with your question. And I apologize, folks. There's a bit of a delay. So we'll give it a moment. If Harris, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Loud and clear. Thank you so much. Thanks for your patience. And thank you, folks, for listening. Thank you for your patience as we get folks up on stage. I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to ask the questions. They can hear to learn, right? Go ahead, Harris.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Eddie and YK, for the special talk. Especially, this was special for me because I don't have any tech background. I'm about to complete my bachelor's degree in anthropology. And unfortunately, I was not able to follow the disclaimer that Eddie gave to start with whatever you have or to start as early as you can. Because last year during the COVID, I got involved in the crypto communities. And through that, I got interested in tech and then further in content creation about tech. But now, very recently, I've started learning programming and coding, and I feel like I'm lost in the knowledge. So I'm in a paradox of striving for content creation, while at the same time, I find myself lost with zero knowledge, or sorry for that. Even if I see that I have some knowledge, I don't see it organized in a way. My question for both of you, to Eddie and YK, would be to how should I take these two things together, the learning experience as well as the content creation, from the very first standpoint?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. Thank you so much for that, Harris. Yes, Eddie, go ahead. You want to give it a shot first?
Thank you so much for this question. So if I understand it correctly, I think that you're saying you're new into tech and you're learning as you go along, and which we all are, but how can you create content on that? Say you're 30 days into learning tech. There is someone where you were 30 days ago. So you can create content, or as I prefer to say, document your journey. If you've learned something new today from a blog post or a YouTube video you're watching, if you quote it, obviously give them credit, but that's also good because it gets you on the radar of that content creator. But if you want to reword it in your own words and you maybe combined two ideas or two things you've learned, then you can post it on your Twitter in a blog post, in a video, in whatever format that you prefer. I personally prefer video, one because it's easier for me, and one because I can get it transcribed into a blog post. I can take snippets from that put it into tweets. I can get the audio and put it into a podcast, and so forth. Whatever works for you. I think the important thing is to get started, and I think as we've discussed a lot today, all of us, Twitter's a really good place to get started and get some engagement and to grow your network. The other thing about creating content, documenting your journey, you're going to meet so many more people. Yeah, I would not worry about you haven't got 10 years experience. I wouldn't worry about that. You're going to help someone by you sharing it in your own point of view, in your own perspective. You're already going to help someone, and then you're going to learn from it too. Because I find I learn things better when I try and put the content on that subject out. Because I really have to think and have to explain it better rather than just assuming that it works, it's okay. So hopefully I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eddie. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. And I think it might sound repetitive because I feel like I just said this to someone. Some of the times I've given presentations and I feel like, oh, wow, hey, you earned your paycheck today. It's been when I'm actually having to teach a subject that maybe I wasn't 100% comfortable with because it forces you to actually, as you're learning, you're also teaching and sharing content like that, learning in public is just incredible way to start there. Hey, go ahead, YK.
Yeah, so totally agree with Eddie's advice. And I wanted to add one quick thing you can do is a Twitter thread. That's always easy to get started with. So what you can do is, as you learn, take note of the resources you use and then make a list of those resources. Actually, it could also be a single tweet, but just say, here are the best resources for learning these technologies. And you can say that because you've experienced it, you've used those websites or resources to learn stuff. So you're in a way an expert on those particular resources. So just share that as a list, as a tweet, or as a thread. That's always a good way to get started. And I think one thing I should mention again is getting feedback. One piece of content I made a while ago was about Web3, and I was by no means an expert on Web3. I didn't really know anything about it. So I just wrote a thread on what is Web3. I did as much research as I could. And then I wrote that. I started getting feedback. I made sure everything is correct, everything is understandable. And then I published it. And it's like Eddie was saying, it was a great way for me to learn stuff, learn how to present it better, and make sure everything is correct. And you do learn faster, I think, when you share publicly, because people fix your mistakes if you do make mistakes.
Yes, that's the beauty of it. Like, just we might not have our own editor, but just by virtue of sharing it with all of you, you let me know if something is not working properly or if something was said that wasn't accurate. I love that. And honestly, I think that it's so scary to ask for feedback, though. I think that might be a reason why sometimes a lot of creators just put out content. It's like a one-way street. There's really no growth. And I don't think those folks do that as well, because you do need to listen to the people that are taking the time to tune into you. So definitely find an avenue where you can get feedback from the folks that are listening to you. YK Twitter threads are actually perfect for that. That is absolutely fantastic. We have Graham. I think we'll have Graham jump up. Graham, if you have a question, go ahead and pop in, and then we'll go to Katie after that. Thank you, Eddie and YK, for being here. If you're just joining, we're talking about content creation, engineering careers, tech, or starting in tech. We have some folks that are switching careers. Go on, Graham.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me up, and thank you for the space, obviously. So I do have a question, which is, do you think you should be deliberate in what content you are creating if you're trying to advance your career? So, for example, say I wanted to work at Twilio, should I be writing tutorials on how to use Twilio? And similarly, are there any tips on like how to position your content in a way that makes you more hireable? Coming from someone, as you well know, who definitely writes in the wrong style for getting hired.
Go on, YK.
All right. Short answer is yes, but I want to put it in a proper context. So like I was saying earlier, and like I said in this tweet, I don't necessarily recommend content creation for all developers. I think maybe about half the developers, they'll probably enjoy it. It's probably beneficial for them. I would start with, again, open source and then content creation. And then same thing with open source and content creation, both of them. I would first search for jobs in your local market or, in the remote market, and then find the kinds of jobs that are open that you want. And then work backwards from there. What kind of content can you create to learn the technology that's necessary for those jobs? And then what open source projects do those companies have that you can contribute to so that you can network with those companies? And open source, again, it's another good way to network and learn new technology. So that's how I would personally approach it.
Thank you so much, YK. Eddie, go ahead and come up. I think you have.
Thank you. YK stole my answer, but definitely open source. I really wanted to emphasize that because it's great if you're engaging with them on socials, with the company that you want to work for. But if you're creating technical content or in an area where you want to potentially work with them on, then they can actually see your work. So it's not tell them how great you are, you're actually showing them. So getting involved in open source, by engaging with them on socials, you're getting involved maybe with their marketing team and so forth. But by engaging with them on open source on GitHub, you're getting involved with their engineering team. And people become more aware of you. And when they do want to hire someone for the thing you're doing, if you're creating tutorials on their open source project and so forth, where are they going to go first? They're going to go to the person who's already doing it. And I've seen so many people do this. I won't mention any names. People you'll recognize on Twitter or in the Eddie Hub community. They said, oh yeah, I was doing this already. And then they came up to me and said, hey, can you just do it? Can you create this content, more of it, and we'll pay you to do it? It's great that you don't have to go through the whole lengthy interview process with recruiters, etc. You're going directly to the company and showing them how great you are.
You are absolutely correct. And you'll be surprised, folks. I work for a company, I wouldn't say we're a super large company, how to use it in a way that maybe it's not well explained in documentation, or it can be just like a quick tip. Companies pay attention, they look. And I think folks have clued into the value of the community and the community's opinion. So somewhere, it's not my job, but somewhere it's somebody's job to pay attention, start scouring the web and making sure these makers are the first people that are going to get the phone call when you're ready to hire. So that's absolutely correct. One thing, quick thing I want to add though, like the beauty of open source is that you don't have to marry yourselves to a specific technology. So yeah, sure, you want to work at Twilio, so you can take a look and see how you can start contributing to some of those projects that maybe they use as dependencies or not. But it actually opens up a lot more doors to a lot more companies. Unless it's something like super specific and something that is definitely, yeah, you need to know that particular stack to get a job there. I think that you will find a place in open source that will help you like align yourself with those career goals 100%. All right, let's go to Katie. Katie, did you have a question? You want to come up on stage?
Hello, it's Katie. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Andrea, GitHub, and Eddie. Okay, everyone, for this amazing space. I wanted to echo so many of the amazing points that have been brought up before. Honestly, I haven't been on Twitter for a while, but I do drop in and out, and content creation, and especially as Eddie and others have brought up before, engaging with people. Do not be afraid. I was going to say the same thing before Eddie brought it up. People follow the journey. You do not need to be the absolute expert in your field. If you drop in whatever way feels aligned to you, whether it is, I personally like talking more than tweeting or doing videos, dropping into Twitter spaces, communicating with people, and then also sending follow-up. Going back to an earlier question of how do you get in contact with people, if you are engaging in something, I feel that their voice is so powerful. And if you get value or you connect with someone and appreciate a Twitter space, even take a screenshot of the room, tweet it out, reply to them afterwards and say thank you so much for this value. And I really think that is really helpful to engage in the community, and absolutely agree that just even asking questions, you don't need to know everything, but just getting in amongst a community and asking questions on, I am doing this, does anyone have any feedback? That really opens awareness to the community, and you never know where you can make connections from there. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the space, and great to see you again, Eddie, and all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you so much. I love how all of our amazing panelists, like they have such sound advice that they read each other's minds. But no, really, Katie, thank you so much. That's like absolutely fantastic advice. You're right. You follow the journey, and you don't have to be perfect to get started. Just it's kind of hard to put yourself in that vulnerable position. Listen, I'm terrified of like coding because I'm like, oh no, it's like having somebody standing over you, and then when that somebody might be two, might be thousand bodies. Oh, and you can see my poor typing skills. You can see that because English is not my first language, and I misspell a lot of stuff. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely difficult to put yourself in a vulnerable spot there, but it's worth it because folks do invest in you and your journey for sure. Hey, speaking of journeys, I am like absolutely humble and honored. I'm seeing all these folks that are popping in here. And YK and Eddie, I am so sorry. We've gone over time. What I've asked of you, and you were so generous with your time for me. Please let me know. Like I'm here. Let me know if you have to have a hard stop. We can set our goodbyes and wrap it up. I'd love to hear from Danny. I've been following your story. I'm invested in your story. So, Danny, you're a speaker now. If you want to come up, if you have any questions or comments about content creation, and Eddie and YK, just DM me or let me know here if it's time for us to wrap it up. All right.
Hey everybody, I'm Danny Thompson. I'm a small and up-and-coming creator trying to get a little more visibility on my tiny profile and trying to get the attention of some people. So I thought I'd come up and ask a question, people that I like and look up to, Eddie and YK over here. And my question for y'all is, how do you get ideas when it comes towards the content that you want to write, especially when it seems like ideas are being overused and over again?
Oh, wow. YK, go ahead and jump on that. How can you keep it fresh? Go ahead, YK.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Danny. Yeah, I know you do have this tiny account with 200,000 followers. Yeah, it's anyway. So I guess I can talk about my personal experience. It comes learning stuff, and to me, it's always been learning first, coding first, and then sharing. I think it's easy to like run out of ideas after a while. If you're just looking for ideas, you can't find them because eventually I feel like I see this like a pool of knowledge, and you pour knowledge in this pool, and sharing stuff from it is like using that kind of knowledge resources and then turning into pieces of content, whether they're tweets or videos. So I think the best way to have more content is to learn. And I wouldn't learn something just so you can make content unless it's your job. Learn something that you actually want to learn or need to learn for your job to make money, whatever your goal is, and then get inspired by that. And that being what I'm doing. A silly example is with this fit devs thing. I started rock climbing recently, and I made a piece of content around that. Not everyone likes it, but because I wanted to do it anyway, it's a good way to get ideas from that.
I love that. That's an awesome tip, YK. Eddie, what you got for Danny?
As YK said, Danny has got quite a few followers, so 208.3 with a K, so just to not print three of a person. So, yes, to say this to Danny kind of seems a bit silly, but I would say because I document my journey, I find I don't need to come up with ideas. I think the problem is I have too many ideas and I need to try and not jump around the place a lot. And because a DevRel for multiple open source companies, I can get lots of content from that as well, and from my own open source project, and people asking questions on a live stream or in a Twitter space or in Eddie Hub Discord. If I see the same question come up multiple times, I'll think, oh, maybe if I answer that, then if it's coming up multiple times, there's lots of people having the same issue, and we can create some content on that. So yeah, I don't struggle with the ideas part. I struggle with the notifications part. And that's a question for Danny, if you don't mind, Andrea. How do you deal with so many notifications? I must get like 2,000 a day from GitHub. I don't know how many thousands a day from Twitter. I just can't keep up with it all.
We'll have to give Danny an opportunity to tell us his tips for sure, because I can even imagine his Twitter notifications must be absolutely bananas. YK, do you have something to add before we go to Danny?
Yeah, just the point about notifications. I feel like I manage it decently well across my 3 accounts. So what I do is I heavily filter notifications on my first 2 accounts. I ask people to tweet at me on my 3rd account if they really need to get my attention, or email me. That works. That seems to work. And my DMs are closed, so that's helpful too. And I think that the most important thing is to not be too hard on yourself if you can't reply to everyone. I think at this point, Eddie, like, people understand that you can't reply to everyone necessarily. People already know that you do your best, so I wouldn't be so hard on yourself.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Graham, you have something to add?
Yeah, if that's okay with you. I was going to say I have a good beginner's tip, which is think of series. So think of, say, I don't know, HTML components or HTML elements. That is there at least 100 posts that you can do. They're very easy to research, easy to look at what can be in the list, and then you're off to the races. Or you could do web APIs if you really want to go bananas. There's about 1,000 of them. You can go off and get the whole list of them. You'll never run out of content. If you think at big level concepts and then work your way down, there's an endless list of things, and it also keeps you focused. And take that from someone who just talks about whatever the hell they want every time. I should probably follow my own advice there.
I love that. Graham, I think we're kindred spirits. I can dish it, man. Boy, do I give great advice, but definitely do not follow it. Danny, does any of that kind of answer the question a bit as far as inspiration or how you get the topics?
Absolutely. I love the answers.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And hey, folks, if you're just joining or you just got here, go ahead and give all these amazing humans who are taking the time to share what they know, dropping that knowledge here, give him a follow. Danny, I just subscribed to your newsletter. I'm excited to get the first one. I love that now that you can just put your newsletter on top of the Twitter profile. It's fantastic. And we did have a question from, and I am so sorry, Shashwat. I don't know what's going on with the space that you're unable to raise your hand. So I'm going to read it for you. The question for all our amazing folks who are here, like, what technique should you follow to publicize content, especially when it's technical blogs? All right, folks who are super smart here and then are sharing technical content, where are you putting your things? How are you letting people know? Go on, Jay.
Put my hand up really quickly because I was just talking to someone about this today, actually. For me, I think just putting a link in a tweet and saying, hey, everyone, I've written a blog post, go check it out. I think most people are going to skip over it because it's a bit salesy. Whereas I think if you took like a tip out of your blog post and made that the focus of your tweets, you are reusing the content you already created, but you're putting a slightly different spin on it, particularly for that platform. And then in the reply to your own tweet, say, here's the link for the full article and so forth. And you could actually probably get, I don't know, 7 tweets, one each day from your blog post, and then you can drive people to your blog post that way. But they're getting value straight away from that tweet. It's not like a salesy one. And then a lot of people will naturally go and want to learn more from that.
I love that. So wherever you're sharing your content, make sure you got the value add right there. If it's you're gonna share the URL to your dev.to post or your Medium post or your YouTube video, go ahead and tell me why I love you, and I'm probably gonna see it anyways because I follow you. But tell me why I should in a non-salesy way. I love that, Eddie. That's brilliant advice. Okay, I hope that answers the question. YK, go ahead.
One quick thing I would add is on Medium, you can send your article to one of the publications, and that's a good way to get some exposure too. You don't get a lot of exposure from it, I don't think, but you get enough so that it's indexed on Google. And if I understand it correctly, assuming I understand it correctly, Medium is all about recommendations and Google. So as long as you make a valuable piece of article, submit it to one of the bigger publications, make it searchable, then you should be able to get traffic over time. Twitter is more immediate, it's shorter term. Medium is longer term.
I hope that helps answer that question. And this is another thing that open source can be great for, right? Because there are so many communities. So you can share it here, and then those communities will help you boost it to the folks that actually care about the technology you're trying to share. So that's really cool. Go ahead, Graham.
Yeah, sorry, first time in one of your spaces and I'm a blabbermouth, but people get used to me after a while doing that. I wanted to expand on what YK was saying, especially from the blogging world, because that's the area I'm actually half decent at. What you want to do is set your own blog up, first of all, and then you want to use all the content aggregators like Medium, like dev.to, Hashnode, and you want to cross-post on there. But the trick and the thing that most people get wrong is you post on your own blog first, and then you post on them about 1 to 2 weeks later so that your post is already indexed, and make sure you set the canonical URL. The canonical URL says, hey, Google, this is the source of truth. This is the original article, and you want that pointing at your blog. Otherwise, you just give all the traffic and all the juice to like dev.to and other platforms, and you don't get any of the benefits. But that's the way to amplify your content. Find places to cross-post it that will let you set the canonical URL.
Wow, folks. I'm going to put that on the comments as well. But that is massive because, we are part of the machine. And we want to make sure we're putting ourselves out there and getting the benefits to make sure that you're getting indexed the way that it will present it to the folks that you're trying to reach. So, Graham, that's excellent advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's fantastic. We have Captain-EO. Did you have a question for our panel? And you should be able to speak, but it's mute now. So maybe we're having some audio issues there, but no worries. Oh, here we are. Are you able to talk now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was using a very old mic. Okay, I have a very quick question. Should we create short form content or long form content? Because some people will say short form contents are preferable because your audiences can quickly skim through it and get the message you're trying to pass. But then other arguments will say long form contents are actually the best in converting leads into followers, like the best at converting. What's your take on that? Short form content or long form content?
Wow, excellent question. Go ahead, Eddie.
My answer is yes. And the reason why it's so short is I think you should do because they both have different values. So let's take, for example, short form content on Twitter. It's great. It's almost real time. People engage with it. People reshare it. It's really good. But it's not evergreen. It'll be lost in 1 or 2 days and people won't see it again. Whereas if you do long form content like a blog post or YouTube video, it's there for a lot longer and people can discover it, can search for it. It's got the whole SEO thing behind it. And you can include a lot more information. As I was mentioning before, I think to Katie's question, if you've done a blog post or a video, take clips or one-line tips or a video clip and put that on Twitter. So you're giving value directly in the short form content on Instagram Reels, on TikTok. I don't do TikTok, Danny does, but put those short form content out there on other platforms, and then you can drive people who want to learn more about that topic. So the clip that you should put out shouldn't be, hey, I've done a full video on this, go check it out. It should be a specific actionable piece of value that they can use. And if they want more, they can go find out more.
That's brilliant. So one can be the gateway to the other, right? So I caught your short. It's about something I want to learn how to do. And then I found your blog post and I'm actually going to follow the steps now. Brilliant. Go ahead, Katie. I saw you had your hand raised.
I'll be very brief again, following on from Eddie, both, all of it. If you're going to do a long form content, repurpose it all. Just break it down into short little bite-sized pieces, whether that's a video or in a tweet, whatever, and then link it to it all so people can get more information, but definitely do both. So thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that, Katie. And folks, I'll be candid here and share. That is how we do it here. By the way, if you follow us on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, you start seeing the road of sometimes, oh, that was a clip from something else. Just about maximizing value and the platform you're in with the time that you have. So go ahead, Danny. What do you have something to add?
Yeah, I was trying to just support them, but I do want to add one thing here. I do think you need to do both, but there's a very distinct way you should be doing this. And to give you an idea, I've done this poll a couple times because I like to see the trend of readers. And I've given this poll where it says, if you only have one choice, you only have one, either a blog post or a Twitter thread, which would you have preference for? I was shocked by the results. I think everybody was shocked by the results because the amount of comments that came after they saw the results was mind-blowing. But 45% of people on Twitter prefer a Twitter thread to a blog post. So that means they like to consume their content in a great way. And one of the greatest feedbacks that I saw in that was the reason for the preference is a lot of people, when they try to condense it down to fit into the Twitter threads, they're leaving a lot of the filler content out. But of course, it's also easier for them to discover the Twitter thread because it's on their timelines, it's from people they follow, etc. And that's where I came up with the idea that you should be using short form content, absolutely, because I'm a very big believer on reward for time, meaning if I'm putting a lot of time into something, obviously my ultimate hope is for it to be rewarded one way or another. And if I'm putting a little bit of time on something, even if it flops, it's not the biggest deal in the world, right? Even with all my following, I still make tweets that get 20 likes because maybe I missed the mark or I didn't explain something, et cetera. Happens to all of us. Getting that message across is a very big deal. But what I've discovered is when you try to redirect traffic, it's really difficult to do it through a short form kind of item. And the reason why is the way the algorithm works essentially is, and I see this all over the place, right? So hopefully this can help some people out. But if you make a tweet and you put your blog post in that tweet, in order for them to like that thing, they have to go read that blog post. So when they click on that blog post, they're redirected to an external site. Now, from your own viewing habits, your own path of using this, because I had to monitor mine to see how I was using it. I'd click on that blog post, I'd read that blog post, maybe I'd drop a bunch of likes on the blog post. But when I come back to Twitter, I'm going back to my home feed. So I'm not interacting with your tweet, I'm not liking it, I'm not retweeting it, I'm not sharing it, because I've already been redirected and I forget subconsciously to go back and engage with it. So from Twitter's algorithm perspective, you're redirecting people, nobody's liking it, nobody's retweeting it. So instead of pushing it out to the rest of your followers, they kill it. And so you don't get any visibility on it, you don't get any impressions on it, you're freaking out why aren't people liking this? I've put so much effort into this. You start getting discouraged because of that. That's why I came up with PWP, Path with Purpose, meaning I want to make a little bit of content representative of the idea of whatever it is I'm sharing. Let's say the blog article is discussing how you could, create some application. I start laying out the basics of how I would go about it, pretty much the premise of the beginning of that blog post. And as I'm going through these things, let's say it's the 7th tweet of that thread, I'm now saying, if you've liked it this much, you can find the full article with full details and coding examples on XYZ site. That redirection then happens, and it's easier to get them to flow because they've engaged with the top level 6 or 7 tweets. So now, of course, the algorithm is pushing it out to the rest of your people, but they've already gotten so much of your content that they're like, oh, I do like where this is going. I do want to learn more. I respect the creator, and you're appeasing both audiences. But the other thing that I would say is if you only make a Twitter thread, make that Twitter thread and then a week later repurpose that thread as a blog post so it has more evergreen value of content as opposed to just letting that thread die. Because the reality is the average life cycle of a tweet is about 3 hours, give or take, from my experience. You can do more stuff to give previous tweets more life, but the reality is your first 3-ish hours is going to be the life of that tweet. Everything after that, it's pretty much just people finding your profile and finding that content. So the greatest way to get the value out of it is putting it in an evergreen form, or at least displaying the content on your profile in a way that if people check out your profile, they're finding quite a bit of information to scroll through. Hopefully that helps some people out.
Danny, that's fantastic advice. That is amazing. I think we need a blog post and a short about it, please, so that we can have it there close to us when we're ready. We had someone else join. Kyle, did you want to add something?
I actually wanted to ask you a question, but to be honest, Danny already answered a significant portion.
There you go. All right, but go ahead if you have any comments or anything to add. I see you're a YouTuber as well, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't made a video in a while, and I hope to change that soon. And that kind of goes into a little bit of my question. I'd love to ask the experts while they're on the stage. And Danny, you really already went into this, but if there's anything you want to add, I was going to ask if anyone would share kind of their routine post-publication of a video or a blog. And I'd love to know beyond, if you do anything beyond sharing it on your social media, and then also how, if at all, you optimize for sharing, because it is so critical, especially on YouTube, to get sharing active early on.
Excellent question. Let's see. I don't know if maybe Eddie or Danny or YK, do you have anything to add? Like, how do you, when you publish your content, like, how do you optimize it? So that's optimized for sharing. I see a hand. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I was trying to give them, this is their stage. I don't want to monopolize time. I will tell you the exact things that I do after I post a video, TikTok, whatever it is that I post. First thing that I do is I make sure that I share it on my socials so that way it's getting out there. But the second thing that I do is I make sure I do a follow-up share 3 hours afterwards, especially with platforms like YouTube and TikTok, etc. The first several hours are the most critical. And that's definitely like a gauge for a lot of the virality of early posted content. So a lot of times I definitely do that. The other thing that I do is I make sure that I'm finding some posts that may be related to the subject. I don't spam my link. This is key here. Like a lot of people miss that. They start posting their link everywhere. Even just view your own habits. And I try to remind people of this. If you go into a comment thread and you see somebody just dropping their own links, your immediate reaction is, oh, maybe they use the spam bot. Maybe they're just spamming. You don't even acknowledge it or engage with it. You ignore it. Same thing with me. We're back?
Yeah, we're back. Apologies.
No problem. Okay.
Go ahead.
Even my own viewing habits, if I see somebody just spamming links, I automatically think by nature that, hey, they're spamming it. I'm not going to engage with it. I ignore it. The biggest goal that I have is to actually add value to discussions related to the topic. So since Eddie is here, we'll talk about open source. I can talk about how I actually just recently made a video on this where I'm doing an open source community project where a big problem is influencers getting famous, pushing their projects and their courses. And to be honest, a lot of them are just not good. And people aren't getting the value for it. They feel ripped off, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought, what if we made a community website that is completely open source? It's run by the community. It's not monetized in any way, shape, or form, but it could be a resource that people could utilize to, number one, find really great resources, both paid and for free, but number two, to at least find something that's actually worth their time, their value, instead of just picking up random things that people superficially boost up the ratings for. And so I thought this would be a really great way to do it. So when I first started announcing it and making videos on it, first thing I did was jump into a bunch of open source conversations and threads. Guess what? A lot of people started coming my way saying, I want to see this. And guess what? In the post, I didn't say, made a video on this. Oh, here's my link. Check it out. No, I started adding value to that overall discussion. It piqued a lot of interest with a lot of people invested in that space. And they said, let me check out Danny's profile and see what's going on there. Boom. Now they're seeing the recent tweets that I just made with the link to the video. They're seeing the recent link to the blog post, et cetera, and they indulge in that. And guess what? All the comments start rolling in saying, oh, I just saw this on Twitter and we wanted to talk about this. A lot of people start engaging that way. It's a great way to really build up genuine interest instead of the superficial traffic that may not go somewhere.
I love that. I love that so much because yes, just because you are an influencer, I can't even say influencer with a straight face, it doesn't mean that the content you're sharing is valuable. So let me find you. I love that. Without being pushy, you're putting your stuff out there. I'm gonna see this and I'm gonna find it and engage, and it's gonna be a more meaningful relationship. I think in the end, those are like your long-term followers and hype people, your cheerleaders. That's awesome. Folks, we are coming up on an hour and 30 minutes of this space. And Eddie and YK, you have been more than generous with your time. I am so grateful to both of you for being here. I have to take a cue of my own book, like I was saying to Graham earlier. I give amazing advice, and one of my pieces of advice would be like, don't host a space that's an hour and a half. You gotta eat, girl. I'm sure some of us folks here like are ready for a break, and we have gathered so much knowledge and value from this panel. It's really completely blown my mind and exceeded any expectation, which I had none. I just wanted us to get together, share what we know, grow with our community. So let's do one parting word. Let's do one tip that we can leave our audience with today. And then folks, you also go eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, go take the dog out, whatever it is that you have to do. We'll go ahead and start with you, Eddie. Can you give us some closing words and just a parting tip?
Sure. Two things. Everyone, get started today. It's the only way to learn. If you get an amazing personal trainer and you just keep watching them train in the gym, you're not going to learn anything or as much if you do it yourself and get some feedback. So start today. Whatever equipment you have, don't use equipment or perfection as an excuse. So please start today. We can't wait to see your perspective, and everyone can learn from your perspective. Don't think it's already been done. And then second of all, I would say Andrea is almost closer to her next milestone, almost there. Everyone go drop Andrea a follow for the amazing Twitter space that she's been doing today and the amazing content that she produces. I think it's like 50 so more to go to 3,000. So thank you so much, Andrea, for hosting this amazing space. And thank you for everyone else on stage and in the audience. You've all been awesome. It's always great to geek out with you. And of course, last word, open source.
Open source should always be the first and the last. First and last word. Eddie, thank you so much. I'm a brown person, but I'm red as a tomato right now, just hearing you trying to hype up my account. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Have you got any parting advice to complement what we've been talking about or any other nuggets? You shared some really good stuff. Thank you so much.
Sure. I'll try to share a couple things I've already shared as a recap. And I think if anyone could make a tweet out of it, I would really appreciate that. So first of all, start with open source and then content creation. Open source first. So if you do open source and then no content creation, I'll be okay with it. But if you do the opposite, I think it really depends on the person, but I think it needs to come from learning and coding first and then sharing what you've learned. And then another thing I can share is, like I said, sharing what you learn and try to get feedback as you go. Even before you publish a Twitter thread or something, you can get feedback and make sure it's correct if you're not 100% sure. And then the last thing is host Twitter spaces.
I love it, YK. Thank you so much. Twitter better be sending you something. Send YK some swag or something, or checks. Send YK checks. Okay, I'm more here for that. That's amazing. So yeah, folks, get started. Like that is key. And I have a challenge for everybody. If you get started into doing something content related as a result of like you found inspiration in this panel, do tag me. I'm like, what is it? The cool kids, the non-cool kids, the non-submissive kids. My DMs are open. But feel free to tag me on any of them because I love to be able to, maybe we can circle back and highlight your story. It was born of this space, which that would be really cool. Let's tag Danny. Do you have any part in it? Danny, oh my gosh, I'm so humble and pleased that you came by because you dropped some really amazing complementing tips from our panelists, and you having you here is really is fantastic. Anything would you like to just leave us parting words and a tip that our folks in the audience can take with them?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm just up here honestly wanting to support YK and Eddie, so make sure you follow them. Make sure you follow the GitHub community. I've been following them for a while, and one day I'll take a screenshot of them following me back, and it'll make all my dreams in this world come true. But until that day, though, since this space is revolving around the subject of content creation and content that could increase the value of your career, one thing that I would say, this is something that I've believed for a very long time. When you create to get, you will become jaded. When you create to give, you can make a difference. And I've noticed this time and time again. People that create to get they followed me, y'all. They heard the cry and they followed me, y'all. But when you create to give, you will honestly feel so much value. You'll love the process. You won't get so tied up in the validation metrics because the reality is you're going to grow tremendously as an individual, as a creator, when you stop looking for the external validation to validate the things that you're doing, right? When you create to get, and your sole purpose is to get some vanity metric, to get some reward, something like that, you're going to become upset when you start seeing, man, so-and-so is barely putting in any effort at all, and they're exploding. Their tweets don't even talk about nothing. They're getting all these thousands of views. Here's the thing. How many times I talk to those creators and they're like, I have the biggest problem transitioning my audience to anything else that I'm doing because all they're interested in is in the superficial items. You're not making those genuine connections. Focus on just giving, and I guarantee it's going to make a world of a difference. And please start creating. Stop denying the world your genius. It's going to probably take you a while to figure out how to get your message across, how to get your voice across, and that's completely okay. Mess up, make mistakes, feel foolish. So many people hold themselves back because they're worried about the 10 or 20 people in their life being critical about the things that they're doing. And I guarantee you, if you come up with an idea to move past the feeling that those 20 people may give you, you'll be so shocked at the audience you can build, the connections that you can make, the networking possibilities you can have, and the career that you can walk into. You absolutely got this.
Thank you so much, Danny. That's fantastic. I'm a servant leadership follower, and what you just said resonates with me very deeply. Yes, we're not here for the likes. We're not here for the only way I want to support being viral if it's something that is somewhere reaching a person that needed that message and it's helping them get to the next step on their career. So bring out that quality content. Let's help each other grow. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here, Danny. Graham, any parting words for our amazing audience? Thank you for hanging in there, audience.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank both GitHub and yourself for an awesome space, and thank you for having me up, obviously. I have two very quick tips. One is have a plan. As someone who did not have a plan for an awful long time, you will get an awful lot much more done if you have a plan than if you just randomly try and do things as you go. So plan it out if you're trying to progress your career. Work out what you're going to be creating. And the second one is, if you're inspired by all these amazing speakers up here today, and me, the other one, the main thing that you want to do is decide how much content you want to create and then halve that amount and make that your goal. People always overestimate how long it takes to create content. And I tell you, it's time consuming and it can be difficult at times. So set a low bar, but be consistent and you will get there. And that's all I have to add. So thank you once again for the amazing space.
Thank you so much. That is fantastic advice. Thank you so much, Graham. Yeah, I'm going to take that advice myself because I do go ahead in first. And so maybe laying out a few milestones or goals or whatever it is that you're wanting to get out of it. And if what you're wanting to get out of this content creation gig is just give it out, pay it forward. You learn something from Eddie, you learn something from YK, you learn from Dan, from Graham, and now you just want to teach somebody else something else. That's your get. You already gained there. So that's fantastic. Hey, Kyle, do you have any parting thoughts for our panel while you're on stage?
I just really want to say that I appreciate all the wisdom from the experts here, and I'll echo that point, especially as Eddie's saying. I truly believe once you're done here, if you're not relaxing, I hope you're coding. We're all content creators, but we got to code first. YK said it best. I just need to +1 all of that.
And if you're coding in open source, even better. That's awesome. Thank you. And we had a trademark, love that, to the stage. And I'm sorry we didn't get to hear from you much. If you have a quick tip that you can share with our users, listen to me, our audience, the awesome folks that are here listening up, and you want to share it, that'd be great. And you do have the ability to speak.
Yeah, I just dropped in, got an idea of what you guys are, but I don't want to be disrespectful and taking everything like far left. But a few tips I have. So I just came from another space, and one thing that a lady in there was speaking on was that she was having trouble getting through the interviews. So even that first interview or making it to a second interview. And the tip I gave was just, for one, if you're not getting that initial interview, then there's pretty much one of two things happening. Either there's an oversaturation and they may not have, or they might have filled the position, or your resume is not close enough to that position. And one thing I do is if there's something that I generally want to do or like a position that I'm going for, I'll I have one resume that's the one that's on my LinkedIn, and then I scope that around the position I want. I don't do it too detailed to where it can't give me anything else, but one thing to remember is that many times when these hiring managers are going through their systems, those systems pick up on, or they have an algorithm that picks up on keywords. So when you look at that job description, things like Java or the obvious ones are there. But certain things like CI/CD, or Jenkins, Hub, integration, like these keywords are being picked up. So when you look through that, the description, the job description, really pick up on those keywords. So the programming language you're using, the tools are really important, and specify some sort of impact, large impact decisions that you made or projects that you worked on. So if you've helped a project or a system speed up by 50% or you cut down dev hours needed on something, it's really good to specify that. A lot of jobs really like when you specify the actual impact that you've provided.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Hey, folks, maybe the content you need to focus on is your resume and making sure that you have all those keywords and that you're actually positioning yourself out there so that it does get picked up by those scanners. And I know, listen, this is a whole other Twitter space about the interview and hiring process and tech, TBD, because that's something that definitely needs to be talked about. But thank you very much. We appreciate you swinging by. Thank you for coming by and sharing that knowledge, especially you just came from another space, so I appreciate it. Go ahead, Ed.
Thank you so much. Just one last thing. We were talking about open source and code, and I just wanted to highlight to people that open source is not just about code. It's only a small part of it. So if you want to get into open source so you can grow your network, collaborate with people, there is so much more to open source than coding. It's actually more about collaboration, because you think about it, you start a discussion, you collaborate. You raise an issue, you collaborate. You raise a pull request, which is effectively an issue with some project changes, and then you collaborate again. So it's like collaborate, some changes, collaborate. And there's documentation, translation, automated testing. There's so many areas to it. So everyone, you should be getting involved in open source. So many benefits, and it doesn't have to be code. There's so many other parts to it. Just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you so much, Eddie. And yeah, for sure. And hey, folks, if you've already been in the open source ecosystem, you already had experience, maybe that's how you got your job, pay it forward. There's a ton of folks in the threads here on this Twitter space asking, how do I get started? Before I go back and spam everybody and tell them to, of course, join GitHub community and follow Eddie, follow YK, follow Danny, follow Graham, and then, of course, join Eddie Hub. If you have any pieces of advice for these folks, or if you're actually open to taking on someone that you just want to guide them through the first contribution, this is your time to shine. Go get them. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to host this. We need to do more of this because I think our panelists have just way too much knowledge that can literally change people's lives. So we need to get it out of them in a Twitter space. Folks, get started today. Get started today. Get started today. Don't forget to go ahead and give a click onto these profiles, and the spirit of growing and learning. Eddie, I learned something from you yesterday, and I'm going to do it today. I think I DM'd you from another account. We're going to leave this Twitter space open. We're going to go ahead and close it out, and super grateful to all of you who spent some time with us. But we're going to leave it open so that you can go ahead and peruse through the audience and give them a follow, because you never know. This next business venture, this next job, this next new friend might come from here. So thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure to host you. Don't forget to follow a lot of amazing panelists. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Amy, Anish, Gizam, Zad, Anua, Brian, T, Catherine, Joshua, David, and of course to an incredible panel. I appreciate y'all. Let's go to lunch.